Okay, good morning, fourth graders. Hopefully you got this in the mail, your mental math for lesson 88. There's going to be a lot of test prep things on these, and I think that because we haven't been able to do these, that has made the test harder for everyone. So I think that doing our mental math will help us a lot on these upcoming tests. So let's start at the beginning, okay? The first one is 4 times 20 times 10. Well, let's just start with 4 times 20. 4 times 2 is 8 plus a 0, so 4 times 20 is 80. And 80, we have times 10 left. 80 times 10, 8 times 1 is 8, plus 2 zeros. So the answer to this is 800. A quicker way, though, of doing this is 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 1 is 8. Okay, so we'll write our 8. And how many zeros in all three of these numbers? 1, 2. We'll add 2 zeros on, and that's a lot quicker than going through all of the different multiplication problems. Okay, let's look at B, 10% of 20. Well, let's turn 10% into a fraction, and then we can recognize a problem. Okay, 10% in a fraction form is 1/10, right? So if we've got 1/10 of $20, okay? 10 goes into 20, or 20 divided by 10 is how much? 2, so $2. Basically, you're just taking, because it's a tenth of it, you're just taking the zero off, because each place in our number system is times 10. So a tenth of that will be $2. Okay, how many ounces in a cup? You're going to need to know this for the tests. The tests are going to ask all kinds of measurement questions, and you're going to have to know what all the terms mean. So you'll need to have memorized that there are 8 ounces in a cup if you don't know that already by now. Okay, 8 ounces in a cup, and then for the rest of the questions, you know you can always draw your G with the 4 quarts. You can even draw it on the test to figure out the answers to things, okay? And you know there are 2 pints in every quart, so you can put your P's in. So you put 2 P's in every quart, and then there are 2 cups in every pint, right? So that you can figure these things out. So if you need to practice making this for your test so that you get things right, go ahead. How many pints in a quart? Here's a Q. How many P's? 2. So 2 pints in a quart. How many quarts in a gallon? Here's our big G gallon. How many quarts? 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts. Okay. Now we have, look at F. We have 9 squared minus the square root of 9. Okay, let's start at the beginning. We need to write what 9 squared equals. So 9 squared is 9 times 9. That's what this means, 9 times 9. And 9 times 9 is 81. Bring down our minus sign. And what is the square root of 9? What number times itself equals 9? 3. So we have 81 minus 3. We can count backwards. That's the quickest way. 81, 80, 79, 78. So our answer is 78. Okay. G, how many ounces in a pound? 16. And you have to know it by memory. You've got to learn that. If you don't know it, you have to know it for the tests, because they're not going to tell you the answer on the test, and they're going to ask you questions about ounces and pounds. Okay, how many pounds in a ton? 2,000 pounds is a ton. Okay, so what is half of a ton? Half a ton is 1,000. Okay, You'll need to know that by memory. Look at I. A right angle is 90 degrees. How many degrees is half of a right angle? So if we try to figure out half of 90, 2 goes into 9, how many times? 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, 4, that's as far as it will go. So we need to write 8 down here and subtract. That leaves us with a 1, and we can bring down our 0. How many times does 2 go into 10? 5 times. Okay, so the answer is 45 degrees, and you should memorize that because they're going to be asking you what half of a right angle is, or at least to recognize 45-degree angles. Okay? If a right angle is 90, then that means an angle that looks about like this, or that looks about like that, will be half of a right angle, so 45 degrees. Okay, and they'll be asking you to recognize this. Okay, what is 1/4 of a circle? 1/4 of a circle is how many degrees? Well, if the whole circle is 360, that's 360 divided by 4, or you might already have that memorized. 1/4 of a circle is a right angle, so that's 90 degrees, right? K, 1/3 of 21. Let's look at that. Okay, take a look at K. 1/3 of 21. 3 goes into 21 how many times? Or you could say that 21 divided by 3. Either way, it's division, right? 3 goes into 21 evenly 7 times. So 1/3 of 21 is 7. Okay, let's look at L. 435 over 1,000, or 435 1,000ths. Okay, well, first of all, this is a fraction, so we know it's less than 1. So to write this as a decimal, we need to put a decimal. There's nothing. There's no whole numbers here, so that's going to be a 0. Okay, and we need our decimal, and then we need 435. We need the last number of 435 to land in the thousandths place. Okay, so let's write 4, 3, 5, and make sure that lands in the thousandths place. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So that is correct. That's how we write it. Okay, here we have a decimal number they want us to turn into a fraction. So there are no whole numbers, so this is going to be a fraction, only a fraction. And we need to write the number that we see, 321. Now, to figure out the bottom number, we need to know what place the 1 lands in. Okay, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this is 321 over 1,000, 1,000ths, okay? Let's look at the last two. We have 100 times 11. Well, I can look at this and I know that 100, 11 times is 1,100. But let's have a method of how we figure these out in case there's not one that is this easy, okay? Let's take all the numbers and multiply them. What is 1 times 11? 1 times 11 is 11, and how many zeros in this problem? 1, 2. 1, 2. So this is 1,100. Let's use the same method here. What is 6 times 7? 6 times 7 is 42. Okay, now how many zeros in this problem? 1, 2, 3. So we need to add 3 zeros to this, and we need to put our commas in now. And commas go every 3 numbers over from the left. 1, 2, 3. So the answer to this is 42,000. 600 times 70 is 42,000. Okay. Now let's take a look at your lesson, your lesson practice. Okay, I want you to cross out your reteaching page that has the 2 word problems on it. I'm going to go ahead and do one that's just like those, that's on your actual lesson instead. So let's go to number 1 on the written practice. It says, Taryn packed 6 table tennis balls in each package. There were 100 table tennis balls to pack. How many packages did he fill? And how many tennis balls were left over? Okay, well, if we have 100 balls sitting on the table, 100 balls, and we want to separate or divide them up into groups of 6, so we can put each 6 in a different box. So let's divide 100 by 6. Okay, let me make this a little straighter. Okay, does 6 go into 1? No. Does 6 go into 10? Yes, 1 time. 6 times 1 is 6. Subtract. 10 minus 6 leaves 4, and we can bring down our 0. Does 6 go into 40? Yes, but how many times? Well, 6 times 7 is 42, so that's too much. So it must be a 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So that leaves us 4 left over. So how many packages or boxes of balls could we send out? 16 packs of balls. How many tennis balls would we have left over at home that would not fill up a pack? 4. So remainder 4. Okay, there are quite a few problems crossed out on this lesson, so it won't take you quite as long. So go ahead and mark those out and get started, and I'll see you tomorrow. The secret word for Mental Math 88 is triangle, like the polygon.